Well, tonight we start off in South Africa, where the country's grounded national airline may soon take to the skies once again. The government has agreed to sell a majority stake in South African Airways. A 51% stake will now belong to a local jet leasing company and a private equity firm, ridding the government of an entity that has long been a drain on state finances. Well, SAA has been under a form of bankruptcy protection since December 2019, and its fortunes worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic. The equity partner will allow the airline to resume operations as, of course, the government retains a 49% stake. Well, let's now discuss the deal with Derek Nseko. He's the founder of Airspace Africa and iFly Global. Great to have you with us today, Mr. Derek. Now, it certainly has been quite a long road for South African Airways, one that has seen its workforce reduced by almost 80%, and of course now liabilities down to almost $200 million. So give us a sense of what you feel about this new partnership and the injection of $258 million. What does it mean for the future of an airline that was on the brink of collapse just the other day?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and good evening to your viewers. Yeah, very interesting developments today in South Africa, where the strategic equity partner has finally been announced. It's been a long, protracted process for South African Airways, which is just emerging out of a business rescue as well. And what we do know is that the partner is actually going to inject about $3 billion, which will go towards starting capital for the new airline. I believe this is coming as welcome relief to not just the public, but South African government as well. And they've repeatedly pointed to the fact that they really are committed to ending this long, decade-long culture of government bailouts that has been plaguing the national airline. So the strategic equity partner will have control of the new airline with a 51% stake. And what is very positive as well about this is that the Takatso Consortium is really made up of people who have been in the airline business before and people who know exactly what it takes to run an airline. And some of these experts are coming from South Africa. And what really the government of South Africa really focused on with this new strategic equity partner, and they've pointed the fact that this is a homegrown solution. Because the companies that form the consortium are South African-based, Global Airways. And it's very interesting as well to know that the CEO of this consortium is a man who was formerly a CEO at Comair, and recently even started a new airline in South Africa. And the new consortium will actually now absorb and even have Lift Airways, as well as Mango Airlines, a subsidiary, as two low-cost airlines under its portfolio. Right. I do believe that these are positive developments for SAA, which needed to move away from this culture and to move towards positive corporate governance, and as well to eliminate the bureaucracies that came with government ownership and to allow a more efficient and more efficient mode of ownership and decision making
going forward. Certainly right, Derek. It certainly is a relief for the government in terms of their finances as well, but it is also an interesting time for a new partnership to come on board. Globally, most airlines are struggling to stay afloat following the pandemic. Now, factoring in the current environment in the global aviation space, are the odds in favor of this consortium being successful in reviving South African Airlines? How long will that take? And what will be the drivers of South African Airlines' rebound?
Yes, it's a very interesting time for global aviation. Incidentally, there's so many entrepreneurs around the world who are actually looking at this as an opportunity to start new airlines and to even expand existing airlines. And it's no coincidence that some of the business people who are involved with this new venture in SAA as part of the consortium are people who have recently just started a new airline. Gideon Novick is the CEO of Lyft Airlines. The globe is currently littered with uh, uh, used aircrafts that are reasonably priced. And there's a lot of skilled and highly qualified aviation personnel at the moment who are desperate for work. So the barriers to entry into the airline industry have somewhat been lowered. And they're driving this move uh, for the new airlines that are sprouting up. And in a sense, South African Airways it kind of feels like a startup that has emerged from the ashes of the old South African Airways.
Mhm. Well, in light of all of this, and by that I mean the fact that 80% of SAA's workforce had suddenly left, and of course, the airline had seen quite a lot of losses. So, how soon do you expect to see the resumption of international flights, and of course, a possible revamping of its workforce going forward, especially given that the low-cost arm, Mango, and South African Airways maintenance firm, the technical SAA Technical, they still remain under financial strain?
Yes, no doubt. And the issue of SAA subsidiaries is something that is still yet to be addressed. And we really have to go back to the fact that while this is the end of a long process, transitional process for SAAs, this is really the beginning of another process. There's still so much to accomplish before SAA gets to the skies. And there's so much that is still uncertain and undetermined, and the issue of the future of South Africa Airways subsidiaries, I think, is chief among those. The MOU and the purchase agreement with the consortium that is coming in to take up the 51% still needs a few weeks to be finalized. On the issue of flights, we do know that SAA is really emerging as a much smaller entity. They've lost about 3,500 of their workforce from the previous all through the business rescue process. And we don't know exactly how big the new SAA is going to be, but we do know that it's going to start as a regional airline, largely operating in Africa. I think international or intercontinental flights for the long haul are not going to start until maybe after about 2 or 3 years.
Mm. Well, Derek, thank you so much for your insights on today's show. That, of course, is Derek Nseko joining us. He's the founder of Airspace Africa and iFly Global.